TUFF SHIFT. Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of TUFF SHIFT, the podcast where we unpack all that goes into surviving the job and living the dream. I am your host, Sean Patrick Murtagh, and I got a little lovely baritone quality going to my voice. I am in good voice. Just checking in. I am in good voice. Just probably a little tired. You know, it's opening week of Parade, and so excited. And but it's just been a lot. We basically not had a day off in over a week. So it's just been running this incredibly beautiful but intense show. And my specific track is really funny because it's like I'm in the beginning of Act One. I have a scene almost at the end of Act One. I'm like almost non-existent in Act One. And then Act Two is just like, you don't leave stage. And so it's just all kind of, and that's when all my costume changes are. And it's just like, wow, we're doing a lot. And it's been exciting. You know, live theater is wonderful and thrilling, and things happen in live theater. And it's just being on stage. You know, last night there was a huge hiccup in the middle of my number, and it just happened. It just happened. I, of course, went into a bit of a spiral while proactively staying in it and staying focused and throughout the rest of the show because it's my big number, and things happened. Things happened out of my control and just made it work, but I was a little bummed. And that's just how it goes, right? Tough shifts happen on stage too, not just in restaurants. And that's what live theater is. And though I'm still talking myself off the ledge a bit around it, it was the smallest thing that I am making. I'm making that molehill into Mount Everest. And of course, you know, that's the show that Jeremy comes to. And at the end, he knew when I got off stage and when I saw him in the lobby and ran to him, and just that knowing hug of like, yeah, yeah, it happened and it's okay. And afterwards, you know, I said, he goes, there was a clear mistake that happened on stage. Yes, but it happened so fast and it didn't impact the show. So it happened and nobody cared. And I just needed that because that's how it goes. And it's okay. But I think mostly is what I want to lead with is that gratitude that and the knowing and reassuring myself, because again, this is my first time stepping on stage in a musical, in a theatrical performance in 2 years, and just reminding myself that things go wrong and it's not an indicator of who you are as a performer. It's not an indicator of who you are as a person. And the fact that you made it work and my cast rallied around me and the show kept going, and it's not all about you, right? So maybe if we're listening to this right now, maybe there's something that you're feeling cringy about, or you're feeling more guilt than you possibly should, and the other people or situation involved isn't thinking about you or that mistake. Maybe this is a good reminder for us to start this show with knowing it's not all about you. And that is a wonderful life lesson. That is, none of that was how I intended to open the show, but clearly I just needed to get that off my chest. And in addition to my actual therapy, having an audience is free therapy. Now, if you're watching this episode, you're probably wondering, what's with the getup, Sean? What's with the silk bathrobe? What's with the silk bathrobe? You look like you belong on an episode of The Golden Girls where they're doing a montage of all the past highlights from shows. You look exactly like you should be sitting at that table eating cheesecake. Well, guess what? You nailed it. You nailed it right on the head. I am wearing my silk floral Blanche inspired bathrobe because, baby, buckle up. We're doing another Tough Shift first. We are doing our very first montage episode, looking back at some of the highlights, some of the greats, some of stories that really resonate with me. And you know, what is going on with me? And I might edit that out, I might not. I'm just having show brain. What inspired me to do this is the fact that in the past few months, in the past, handful of episodes, couple handfuls of episodes, we've had an increase in viewership and in audience. And it's exciting. It's exciting that we've just been keeping this podcast going, been growing our audience, and the more people that we engage with, the more people that we bring on the show to promote their amazing artistry, the amazing things they're doing, and the harrowing shifts that they've survived, our audience is growing. And what better time than now to then reintroduce our new audience, our new members, and also if you've been here since day one, just to kind of like go back and listen to some of our favorite stories and give you new audience members a chance to maybe go back to older episodes and listen to the amazing people that we've interviewed. And though what we talk about, if there's specific projects, those dates have already passed, but the handles, the websites, how you can follow and support them are all still the same, and they all have something going on. We're artists, whether that is our main job, whether it is our side hustle, whether it's something we do once a year. We are all creating, we are all putting ourselves out there, and go support them. Go listen to their stories here today, and then maybe go back to their episode and learn more, because from these episodes, the entire episodes, it's very hard to edit these down and share and find just one story, because this show is a conversation. It's less about questions and stories, and it's one continuous conversation of us just enjoying each other's company, and editing it down to share one story has been a very difficult task, but I've done it. And these are stories that just resonate with me, and are reasons why I want you to reintroduce you to our guests again. And also, this show is also fully transparent. I don't want it to seem like I'm so virtuous in doing this. Fully transparent. Part of what also inspired this is the fact that I'm tired. I am tired, and opening a show is crazy and takes so much time and effort. And the intention was to have another cast member from Parade come to the show, share their experience in bartending and waiting tables, and talk about their experience as an actor. Who we will get this person on in the future, but somebody who works consistently in LA theater. And it's like, but LA is not a theater town. Ha ha ha. Not true. And I can't wait to bring that guest on to share his experience. And we were also going to obviously promote Parade, but with opening the show and with so many things that had to happen for the show, also in our personal lives with our work schedules, our bread and butter, our survival jobs, that also is taking up time. And then people are coming into town to see us. So we were going to make it work. We were gonna make recording this episode work, and then we just looked at each other and we're like, no, let's not. Let's enjoy every moment of opening weekend. Let's the good, the bad, and the ugly, the mistakes, the highlights, the amazing moments and new discoveries we make on stage, because every show still we are making new discoveries and connecting in different ways. And it's such a beautiful cast. Anyways, we'll get to I'll promote the show in just a second, but we decided we'll hold off. I'm going to have him on this show in the future, but for now, just take it easy. You don't got to reinvent the wheel every episode. So that also inspired this little look back. I was going to do maybe another pre-shift, all shift of me just sharing hot takes. But I feel, like in cabarets and performing, they always say you have to earn the ballad, which I obviously don't adhere to, because if you come to my cabaret shows, they're very ballad heavy, but engaging ballads. And what that means, if you're not in this industry earning the ballad, is you have to get the audience to a place to where you can, you entertain them, you keep them uplifted, you keep the show going, you keep the energy high, and then you almost like you pull the plug and you drop into something deep and meaningful. So that's what earning the ballot means. And so I want to earn my pre-shifts with you, and I don't want it to become a crutch for when I ran out of time or scheduling gets in the way. Oh, great. It's just Sean, making it work with his hot takes, which I want to make sure I have enough, and I'm not just using it as a filler and giving you anything less than a great episode. So I decided, why not do the Golden Girls raised me, and those montage episodes are some of my favorite. I don't know about you, but those are some of my favorite episodes. So I thought, let's do another Tough Shift first and look back at some of our amazing guests. With all of that being said, let's talk about Parade. It's our opening weekend. Woo! We did it! We did it, Joe! And what a beautiful cast, and what a beautiful experience putting the show up finally for an audience. It is such an experience in theater, to where you're doing blocking, you're doing music, you're doing choreography, you're running your lines, and you do everything separate, and then you slowly piece them together. And you learn the music, and then you put it on its feet. You put the music to choreography, and the first thing that goes when you're working on a show and you're doing the choreography for the first time, harmonies. Everything you learn musically goes out the window because your brain is trying to piece it together. And then you get that, and then you run these scenes together as a cohesive unit, and you get that timing, and then you run the first act, and everything goes wrong. And then you clean up and you run again, and then you run the second act, and then the entire show. And it's a lot of these things. It's like everything goes out the window because you're doing it as you're adding more and more elements. And so what does this look like when it's all together? And then you add in the costumes, you add in the lighting, you add in the band, and that's wonderful. And it's just, when you add in the audience, there is nothing like performing for people. There is nothing like people depending on you to entertain them, but also getting swept away by you, getting swept away by what's going on stage, engaging, the gasps, the laugh, the applause, that every moment about it, that energy contributes to us, and it's just been thrilling. Though it would have been nice to not have our first audience be on opening night. Maybe for the next time this production company puts on a show, we'll work in a preview show. But regardless, that's live theater, folks, and it is now a completely different show. It is now a complete show, and every show is unique. Based on what we have going on in our days, what we find in each other, and what the audience brings and offers us on stage. And so far, so good. And we have one more weekend. So when you're listening to this, if you're in the LA area, come see Parade at the Electric Lodge in Venice, California. That's 1416 Electric Avenue. I keep meaning to look. I know there's a song. Is it Prince? I don't know, but I don't know if that's the right thing I'm singing. But is there a song called Electric Avenue? Because I have this fake one stuck in my head. And if it's not, maybe I'll write it. But yeah, come see us. We are performing, the remaining shows are October 30th, November 1st, and November 2nd. We close. All this work for just 2 weekends, but God bless it. What a thrilling experience. What a beautiful company, and what a meaningful show, especially for what we have going on right now in the world of politics and the global politics, in mob mentalities, in misinformation, in all the things going wrong. What a meaningful and impactful show that really speaks back. And it's a different experience when you're seeing it on stage, and you're like, oh wow, that's kind of what's going on in our world today. And it kind of makes you think of how you can be part of the solution. It's a beautiful show. It does have some levity, not a lot, but my number is the levity. Of course it is. And please don't miss it. This cast is wonderful. This is Darrendale Productions' debut show in LA. And I gotta tell you, I spoke to Bryce, who's the producer, and I spoke to her mother after the show, and I said, I think we're really witnessing the birth of the next big time mover and shaker LA theater maker. And I'm so excited for what they have in the future. And I'm so excited, not to put the cart before the horse, I'm just so excited for this show to have experienced its full run, from the first rehearsal to the closing performance, and to the day after that, when everybody is recovering and reminiscing and just feeling that much better for this experience. So don't miss Parade. Paradetickets.eventbrite.com. You may have noticed I skipped October 31st and that, because we ended up ticket sales weren't great for that show, so we ended up canceling it because it's Halloween. And, people, whether they have children or trick-or-treating, or they're adults with no children who pretend they're still in college, Halloween, it's a hard night to get people into shows, not just in small regional productions, but also on Broadway and national tours. Halloween, 4th of July, there are certain holidays where, there's holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving where people go to the theater as part of their experience, but then there's holidays like this where you don't go to the theater. So we decided give the cast a night off, and I thought to myself, you know what, I have Halloween off. I've had well, to speak to it, doing the show has also been rewarding in the fact that it's taken me out of the restaurant, right? And I know we've talked about that before, like just that experience of I have a show coming up. I'm not going to have to pick up shifts. I'm not going to have to carry trays. I'm not going to have to shake drinks. And it takes you out of the restaurant for the briefest of moments. And it's like I am living fully as an artist. I'm living, well, not fully. This is, a smaller contract, but I've luckily had enough of a workload from my bookkeeping clients to where I've been sustaining myself for the past 2 weeks with just the show and bookkeeping clients and no restaurant. And it's given me a beautiful preview in the next phase of my evolution as a human being, and supporting myself and supporting my finances, my art, my home, my relationship, all these things. Like this is what I've talked about in a recent episode about getting out of hospitality. This has been a beautiful peek into that lifestyle, and it's just something that is thrilling to me. And it's been as busy and as exhausting as performing a show every night is. It's been a very restorative week in that, and seeing myself outside of hospitality. And it's just for now. It's brief, but I now have the image of what it's going to look like. And sometimes just knowing, using your imagination, having an experience that lets you see what it might be like to live that way helps you get there, and helps you realize that future. So this has been an amazing experience in that. Bittersweet though, because now that we're open, we don't have rehearsals every night. So the day this podcast is launched, I'm going back to bartending for a couple nights when we're not performing. But we're like I said, we canceled the Halloween performance, and I thought, why don't I? It never hurts to make money. Why don't I let my boss know, or just put feelers out there? I have bartenders like to party, so someone's going to want to not work Halloween. Someone's going to want to go celebrate. I'm Methuselah behind the bar, so I'm not going out and sledding it up like I did in New York City, which I did. Oh, that reminds me, I haven't done a little chesticle thing. I have this revealing bathrobe on, and if you saw on Instagram recently, when I do shows, I have to do a chest shot. I have to open my shirt and take a picture of me either backstage or at opening night party or somewhere, of just showing my chest. I don't know what it is, but I think I have a relatively nice chest. So there's a little shot if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, Venmo me $10 and I'll send you the video. Anyways, or you can go to YouTube for free and fast forward to this moment. Anyways, what was the point of that? Oh yeah, going into work, I was like, I'll pick up a shift. No sooner did I have that thought than I saw there were back-to-back notifications in my 7 Shifts app from management and from corporate about Halloween contests. Get ready, folks. It's Halloween, and we're going to have a contest. We're going to be so fun to work with, and we're going to encourage you to dress up and put the effort in to making yourself uncomfortable at work wearing a costume for a gift card here for, I don't know, $20, $50, all of that effort into that Halloween costume for a gift card here, or not enough money to reimburse you for putting that costume together. And it wasn't one, it was 2. So this is a restaurant group. And so there is a group-wide Halloween contest. And then another direct message from our immediate manager that on top of the group-wide contest, we're going to have our own in-house Halloween contest. And how much fun. And you're thinking, well, that doesn't sound bad. What's so wrong with that? Well, with both of those notifications came a PDF of guidelines and instructions of what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, what blah, 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 all these guidelines. And it's like, I thought you said we were having fun. I thought you said we were going to have fun in doing this, and now it's become this piece where I'm not going to pick up a shift. I decided, you know what? Jeremy's going up north to do trick or treating with our niece and nephew. I'm gonna stay down here with our dog. I'm gonna stay down here with our dog and pass out candy. I'm gonna take that night off. I don't need to jump through hoops for this. You know what really gets me is the fact that we're not a fun restaurant. We're not a fun restaurant group to work for. It is grueling and dehumanizing, as I've shared with some of the things where the expectations they set and then what they give us to carry out those expectations. And what we should, it is a corporate restaurant. So in their pamphlet, there's also expectations of what we should expect from them. But obviously, there's no way for us to enforce it on our end, right? So we're just forced to make it work. And I just don't want to act like we're a happy family. I don't want to go there and put effort into this Halloween costume, and we're not going to have anything we need to make this shift successful and to hit all the bullet points that you want us to hit with each table and to put all that out there and still have to be, oh, we're our costume, we're our character, we're our this, and we really love working here. We don't. We don't. It is the morale there is low, and it's not just about having a Halloween costume. It's not about hitting certain items and being like, well, we did everything to make everyone happy. We did this, we did that, we did boom. It's not about the big ticket items. It's not about Halloween. It's not about this. It's not about, these group messages of motivational speeches about this and that. It's about consistently showing up and consistently checking in with your staff, doing everything you can to make sure they have what they need without making it their fault. And all that this place is doing is penalizing people. They're, like I've said, I've never seen so many suspensions and write-ups and talking to in one restaurant in a week. Each week, it's just always something to where we continuously drop the ball. It's continuously our fault. But hey, at least we have this Halloween contest to look forward to. No, that's not a sustainable way to live. And so getting that message, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna be there for Halloween, and hopefully I'm not gonna be there that much longer. But it got me thinking about all these lists, because it's not just they do these things where they do these monthly check-ins, and they come into our restaurant, and they check. There's just a series of lists, and they order the like half the menu, they order half the cocktail menu, and they're doing quality control. It's to see where we're at. It's to take a temperature, but it's not. It's a make wrong. It's to find where we're dropping the ball and not talking about what we're doing right. And so they come in, and it's called kick ass, and they come in and they quiz us on the core principles, on our core pillars, on our safety focus, on our this and our that. And they're just drilling us for this information that we don't actually get fed daily. So it's hard for us because I don't get paid when I'm at home. So I don't need to be checking my work app for your notifications. You should be telling me when I'm on the clock. And they go through our daily logs because every shift has a checklist. And it's like boom, boom. But these checklists are just a checklist. It's nothing that is really conducive to getting the job done. There's an opening checklist, and it's just all these items like, did you say hi to everyone? Did you make sure that there's printed paper? It's like, I got too much to do to set up this bar. And so I'm literally checking the list and putting it aside. It is not helpful. It does not contribute to making things function. And so they come in, and that's one of their checklists, is making sure that every day since the last time they checked that work log, those checklists are checked. And it's like, those checklists are checked. There's a closing checklist too. And when I come into open and I see that whoever closed last night said they cleaned the grates and there is purple goo in there, it's just a checklist. And that's what they do when they come in, and they're checking to see ticket times. They're checking to see the quality, the this and that, but they're never saying what we do right. They're only pointing out what we do wrong. And the first time that I did this kick ass with them, and it's like, you need to be doing this when other people are behind the bar, not when I'm there, because it happened. I did like 3 in a row, and it's like, you don't need to quality control me anymore. You don't need to see how I'm performing. What you really need to see is the underperformers and where they're dropping the ball, right? So I got like the immediate feedback. My manager comes up and is like, yeah, well, they said, you maybe put a little too much ice in this spritz because it tastes a little watered down. I'm like, actually, it's just a bad drink that they approved. But also, he just came back with these 2 immediate things that were like, you did this wrong. And I said, did they like any of the drinks? And they said, oh yeah, no, they loved it, but this is what you did wrong, and it cost us points. And I'm like, these lists about checking in for our benefit aren't benefiting us. So why are we making this list? It's in my recent ADHD discovery, it kind of reminds me of how, ADHD people, we're really good at making lists. We hyperfixate on this. I know I need to get this done, but we're not so good at following through with those lists. And that's kind of the experience that I've been having with this restaurant. They have this on paper what looks like amazing structure, but no follow through in any of these lists. And I just the amazing part of my recent ADHD diagnosis and working with someone to make a plan is finding skill sets that are actually functional, that I'll actually do. Like if you're going to make a list, set a reminder to look at the list, like creating that skill set. And as things are as I'm getting things in order for myself, I'm kind of noticing what I'm done with. And working in restaurants and working specifically for places like this that are just not in agreement with what I have going on in my life, it's almost thrilling. It's disappointing, but it's thrilling to be feeling this. And a part of my ADHD getting things together and growing my skill set is that my amazing friend Jessica Raaum Foster, who was a guest on this show, does this thing called Z Health. And it's basically like it's brain boosting, it's brain exercising for people with neurodivergency, for people with ADHD. And it's like these brain exercises. And I just finished a week of training with her. And it's these 15-minute check-ins where it's a Zoom call, it's a group class, and we do these really crazy exercises to just kind of boost our brain activity, to calm our anxiety, to create focus. And it's literally like you do these eye things, and it's like look up, look down, and it's like to a metronome, and it's like do these small physical exercises and see like, wow, the tension's gone, wow, I'm focusing, wow, my coordination is amazing. And it's been quite an experience to make this part of my plan moving forward as I'm opening up my bookkeeping and personal assistant side hustle and freelance activity, to have this as part of my toolbox. And so I thought, why not share that episode with Jessica? You can look up her website. It is the neurologyofpresence.com. You can also follow her at Jessica Raaum Foster. That will be included in the show notes, all of that. But I thought, I have the hardest time explaining Z Health, especially as I'm starting in it and newer to it. I've played with her a little bit around it, but I'm really diving in now. So I'm going to just turn the microphone over to Jessica and let her share what Z Health is and the impact it has had on her life. And you know what? Maybe reach out to her and see if this is something that could be helpful to you. All right. Wow. Didn't I say this was not going to be a pre-shift, all shift? And here we are a half hour in. Why do I always have so much to say? Hopefully I'll edit some of that out. Anyways, Jessica, please take it away.
So I now call myself a neuroplayformance coach. I do too. It doesn't matter what I call myself because most people at this point still have not experienced what I do. So, but basically I use applied functional neurology to get people to do what they want better, get out of pain and up level performance. And yeah, if you'd asked me if I was going to be spouting neurology, 10 years ago, 13 years ago, I'd be like, no. But I am. And it is a direct connection. So, I think having had this conversation with you, how I would language it is, sorry, I'm gunky. There was all through my performance career, with the exception of moments of that Annie Oakley performance, where it has felt like a battle between the gift, right? Like, this is what I'm here to give. And then this fear, this inferiority complex, whatever it is, I'm not good enough. This isn't going to work. I don't get this, all of these things. And how that manifests, I mean, that's normal. Like, it's just, we have these little angels on our shoulders that have different narratives running. But for me, how that was manifesting was I would go into an audition and not trust myself. If I can feel the energy line up and everything's great, you're going to get one hell of a performance. But if that energy is not lined up, it might actually suck. Like there's a big difference between Jessica at full watts and Jessica not. Um, and I was starting to not trust my well-trained instrument. Um, and was starting to lose faith a little bit that it was not going, some of the vocal issues were not going to resolve some of these things. And so I was getting worse and worse performance anxiety walking into these auditions. And part of the reason I decided to move to New York was because I figured if I auditioned more, then I would get over this. And so I was like, and I, in the Bay Area, I was only getting a few auditions a month. And I was like, okay, if I go and I can do a few auditions a day, then maybe this will become a thing of the past. And so I went, and in fact, it got worse.
Mm.
Now I'm, up, the stakes are higher, right? And I'm realizing if I want this to happen, I better come in with everything I have. But I keep asking myself to do things I'm barely capable of doing, right? and hoping it goes well. Um, and so, but this performance anxiety and this feeling like I don't have full control over myself, much less my instrument. I felt like I would vacate my body. That's how I would tell the
Mm.
story. Like I could sometimes not even phonate. And it was just mind boggling to me. And I had done all these self-help workshops. I had done meditation. I had tried medication. I had done, everything. And it wasn't getting better. But somehow, I think 5 months into being New York, my voice teacher there had another student who was doing this Z Health for Singers workshop. Z Health is the company that I got educated with. And I had already gotten certified in Pilates at that point and was using it for performers. And I was like, well, let me go check this out. And I went, and it was a 45-minute free workshop. And my life changed. Like in that 45-minute workshop, she had me do something with my eyes. And all of a sudden, I was singing in front of this group of people as though there was no block. Like
Mm.
all of me was available and I wasn't scared and it was easy. I was like, okay, well, that was something. And the next day, I had an audition for a national tour of, I think it was A Christmas Story. And I went in and did the eye drill before I went in. And I sang my high F, belted it like I do in the shower, but could not for the life of me seem to do in an audition room. Oh, okay, that was great. And then they asked for a legit piece, which I was, normally would make me want to crawl into the hole and disappear. And it's like, of course, and pulled out my soprano piece and sang it like a lark. And I was
Mm.
just like, I don't know what just happened, but I'm going to need to find out more about this. And so I started training with her and pretty quickly figured out that there were some somewhat severe deficits in the way my eyes were communicating and in my vestibular system, my onboard balance system, that were literally causing the signals of my nervous system to get all muddled up. Like the wires were crossed and I was getting cross signals, which was hard enough walking through life, especially in downtown New York. It was hard enough waiting tables with, all of these things, but walking into an audition where this matters to me more than anything else, it would short circuit and I would cease functioning. I was not making it up. This was an explanation for what was happening. And so I started training with her regularly. But she was expensive and I was broke, not even waiting tables at that point, um, just completely not working. I'm going, all right, well, how do I make this happen? And I decided I was going to go into the certification because that seemed cheaper. Um, and I did. And things started getting better, like instantaneously and then continuously, right? Constantly
Mm.
seeing progress. Um, And in order to pay for this training, I started looking around for a job and I got hired as a trainer at the Jewish Community Center on the Upper West Side because they knew Z Health, they were totally into it. And here they have this person that's willing to go get certified for the next however many years. And I got to work with people in that facility and I started like changing people's lives.
Mm.
Like people with chronic pain, they'd do one drill with me and for the first time be able to move. Um, People who, yeah, like, I mean, there's just one story after another like that. I'm like, this work is so important. What do I do with this? Like this can't just be secret. And I also felt like Z Health was geared for elite athletes and I wanted it to be a part of mainstream. It had changed my life. It had given me my life back. It had given me, I say that dark period. Yeah, I came out of it, and I came out of it largely because of this work. And it was all physical, which is so fascinating. Um, but so yeah, I went through I for the next 6 years, I was flying to Phoenix 3 times, or like 5 to 6 times a year. I actually that voice teacher, Andrew Byrne, ended up deciding he was going to get certified as well. And so the two of us went, we would do all these trips together. And so you had all these elite athlete coaches doing all this physical work. And then you have Andrew and I and our friend Rezi. We called ourselves the Gay Neuro Trio. And we were
I
over
love
there
that.
like striking poses and using the work to improve singing. Um, and so it was such an incredible chapter, like just so amazing. And yeah, it stopped me from pursuing the dream directly, but I had this
Yeah.
other dream. Um,
And it's an
yeah.
amazing thing that you do. I experienced it. I took a class with you in San Francisco when I don't even think maybe you moved back. Maybe I was. It
No, I
was over
hadn't moved back.
Christmas.
I
Yeah,
was
and you.
pregnant and didn't know it.
There we go.
Oh
And
no,
it
I was
was,
pregnant and knew it. I was a month pregnant. I was a
but we
month
didn't
pregnant,
know. I think.
but you didn't know.
Um, and it was bizarre. So this was like after my Christmas concert, and so I imbibed, I celebrated, and knowing full well I had to go to this course, but which I wouldn't recommend to people. I'm not saying to do this, even though I got away with it. But I had just done
But if you
Bob.
do, I have tools to help.
Well, that's what happened because I had just done Bobby and Company, and so I was like, I'll do this song, and I just couldn't do it because I was dehydrated and I had done 3 Christmas concerts and all these things, and you gave me these tools to kind of work around it, and it's like bizarre stuff, like putting on different. I mean, I call it bizarre not as an actual judgment, but because it seems
I like to say I'm here for the revolution of the weird.
yeah. And it was just like put on these red tinted glasses. Now put on these blue glasses. Now stand on one foot, and all these crazy things that are just like, well, that would I'm not feeling anything. What's the effect? And it's like, and like everything just comes out, and it's like that's amazing. And I wasn't again in the same way that I wasn't surprised when you won your award. Just always amazed. I wasn't surprised that any of this was going to work because we had done Richard's stuff, and just for the listeners to know what we did, we in our group classes we put belts around our midsection to kind of map out our diaphragm and lean against. We did squats holding on to a partner's rib cage and doing breathing exercises. We put a tennis ball on our lower abdomens and did workouts with that. We breathalyzers that they give you in a hospital to reshape your lungs. We worked with those. There was a bust. I always say it's Beethoven. I'm not sure if it was Beethoven, but there was that giant bust that we would carry up and down stairs while singing, pushing the piano around the studio. We did weird. We sang with Easter eggs in our
And all
mouth,
very physical, very sensory
all very
oriented.
physical. So it's
Yep.
like you were carving this out with Richard long before, like so it and that's why it didn't seem strange to me
Right.
either. And also
Totally.
I was also in a gym cult for a little bit
That's right.
in in New York, and they were very much about the nervous system and all this, and just explaining like your body, like we live in this fancy society that we've created, but our nervous system is like the original software. Like it doesn't know that you're swinging
Yep.
kettlebells. It doesn't know that this is just an audition. You're not going to die. Your nervous system is like, I'm protecting you. And you give these tools. So as we wrap up, I want to kind of, how can people find you and the work you do? Talk about your business a little bit, and who should find you. Like what
Yeah.
would lead someone to exploring Z Health? So if you can let
Yeah.
let our listeners know.
Yeah. Um, so it's actually been a very fascinating business adventure to try and answer that question. Because it can be used for anybody, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I want this information to be available to anybody because everybody has pain and everybody has something that they're trying to do and they feel like they're beating their head against the wall to do it. So it can be used for anything. I love working with singers. I love working with performers. A lot of my clients are in the industry. Um, and I have people with chronic pain. And, my current sort of main niche at the moment seems to be ADHD cognitive function, mixed with anxiety and overwhelm.
Mm.
And, it's interesting when you get into the business world, they start talking about avatars, right? Like, who are you marketing to? Well, me, right? Like people like me who feel like they are swimming upstream 24/7 and don't know why and can't get a diagnosis and something is wrong, but we don't know what it is. Like, there are things that can be going on with the nervous system that are causing that to happen, um, without our even knowing it's happening.
Yeah.
So, the way I'd recommend finding me, I'm on Instagram and I have a ton of reels on there, which can give you a sense of what this work looks like a little bit, just to get a sense of it. But I have found that sharing reels remains very theoretical. People watch them. Some people will try them and get a result, but every nervous system is so individual that I don't feel like I'm serving people with that necessarily. So I actually just launched an online community. It's called the Neuro Playground. It's completely free to join, and I still share the reels there, but we're talking about like but there's a practical piece to it. Like, okay, I want you to try this and I want you to tell me what happened here. Um, Currently this week I'm running a 5-day focus challenge, so we're meeting every day. I'm going to keep doing events like this every month, so that people can experience this, because until you experience it, it is weird. It does not make sense. um, but I want to be able to share these tools and help tailor them to the person sitting in front of me so that it works for them, right?
Yeah.
um, so yeah, if you go to Instagram, Jessica Raaum Foster, the link to the Neuro Playground is in my bio, and you can DM me, as well if you have questions.
And it'll also be in the description of this
Great.
show as well. So
Perfect.
whatever you're listening to, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, any of those things, there will be a description with her Instagram handle. Because
Yep.
try and spell Rom, you won't find her. It's that time of year. I know I should wait till after Halloween, but I don't want to wait to let you know that I'm coming back to Feinstein's at the Nico on Sunday, December 21st at 5 p.m. with Holiday Test Drive 13, Sparkle and Joy. It is going to be an uplifting, loving, reminiscent, beautiful, hilarious show where I share what I've been up to this year, where I share memories of Christmas pasts. I poke fun at my family, share crazy holiday stories, touching memories, and sing a few songs. And I'm so excited because this year I'm debuting a song written just for me, written just for Holiday Test Drive, written by my friend G. Enrique, who has been my music director for many years and who I go to get my tracks. And we're going to be debuting our song Sparkle and Joy, written by him and Anthony Justin Long. And I can't wait to share that with you. And you shouldn't wait to get your tickets. Get your tickets today by going to FeinsteinsSF.com to get your tickets now for Sunday, December 21st at 5 p.m. at Feinstein's at the Nico in San Francisco, our 13th year. I can't wait to share these songs and these stories and all of my beautiful sparkle and joy. I will be in fishnets and heels and sequins. Oh my goodness, keeping Christmas bright and gay. Get your tickets today. I can't wait to see you, San Francisco. And that is Z Health. So please reach out if you feel like you could benefit from anything that Jessica has to offer. If you know somebody that could possibly benefit from that, especially these 15-minute classes that she does, these check ins, which if you're not available for the check in, you can watch later. The Zoom class is recorded and posted to a site to where you can check in and do the exercises. Obviously, you won't be checking in live in the moment with her, but you can check in with yourself and you can still do the exercises 15 minutes a day. It is amazing. So go to neurologyofpresence.com and reach out to Jessica and see if this is right for you. All right. Now I want to share one of my favorite New Yorkers. Uh, Someone who I love the way he sings. His voice just melts me each time. I love how shady he is. Like he's not just like shady in an aggressively like attacking people. He is grounded, he is calm, he is relaxed, and he's just honest. He is hilarious. My friend Noland King, who is now performing with the Gay Men's Chorus in New York City. He also recently was the featured artist of Broadway Mondays at Hardware Bar. He was the spotlight guest. And if you follow him, the Nicely King at the Nicely King on Instagram. See what he's up to. If you're in New York and you see that he's performing, don't take my word for it. See for yourself. Just the glory that is his voice. It's just so velvety and chocolatey and smooth. And then buy him a drink. Buy him a drink afterwards, and just hear him talk. He will read the room. He will read you. He will also very insightful. Just a very thoughtful human being that I could talk to for hours, whether it's something serious and grounded or something shady and hilarious as only he can do. A wonderful human being. And of all the, in his episode, he had a lot of hilarity, a lot of tough shifts, a lot of craziness, which I encourage you to go back and listen to. But he also had a very meaningful moment, which he's about to share, where it really does. This industry it can eat your soul sometimes, but sometimes it can feed your soul in such a beautiful and meaning way. And I want you to hear this moment that he had and the ripple effect it had with him from these two customers meeting in his restaurant and the customers around them coming together and witnessing these two people fall in love. I'm not going to ruin it. I'm not going to listen to this story. And then after you listen to the story, go back and find Nolan's episode and listen from beginning to end. You can skip me, but from when I bring him on, beginning to end, and just enjoy all his stories, all his soul, all that he is. So at the Nicely King on Instagram and everywhere. There we go. Here we go, Nolan. Take it away.
I had this big table and 8 top, and the host was like, "I can't see you. I can't see you. I can't see you because I don't have anybody to put there." And it's the same restaurant. I said, "You can put a 2 top there because I can make more money in a 2 top than an empty table."
Then an
So
empty
instead,
table.
I come back and there are 8 people there, and the host stops me and says, "Hey, those are 4 2 tops that I pulled out of line who have agreed to sit at a table together." Now, communal tables weren't really a thing then, and they certainly were not a thing in this restaurant. They just sat there.
Yeah.
Turns out they were amazing. Turns out one of these couples had been talking online for like 6 months, and this was their first time meeting in person. They met at this restaurant in the lobby
Oh,
downstairs, and then they ended up sitting with these people, these 3 other couples, and they said that it was really helpful to have them there because they were all getting to know one another and chatting rather than the pressure of the first face to face
yeah.
meeting. They were great. We got invited. They ended up getting married. We went to their wedding. It was in Virginia somewhere. I can't remember now, but I went and the other 3 couples went. It was kind of amazing. And the host that sat them in my section officiated the ceremony. That was badass. I can't believe I didn't think of that one first. That was amazing.
Oh, that is, I mean, for all, again, the namesake of this podcast, for how horrific and how, like, just horrendous it can be to work in here and to deal with these people and to deal with the people you've mentioned. There are moments like this that you can't, like, I hate oh, we're a family here. It's like, no,
Sure.
no, I'll choose who my family is. And you do get that with certain guests that just become like, I mean, at the place we worked at together, I'm not sure if they still went there when you were working there. Petra and Ron. I absolutely love those human beings with
I
all
do
my
remember
heart and soul.
Petra. His name Ron? Yeah, Petra definitely still went there when I was there.
Oh, she is just, I mean, so much a part. I love them, and you do have these moments like I celebrated milestone birthdays with them, grieved with them, all in this
Sure.
restaurant. It
Yeah,
just, I
absolutely.
mean, there are some moments that really bring the humanity to this industry. Um, but I do want to transition us over to the other part of this podcast, which is the artists that keep this industry going, that hold the walls up. So tell us about you, the artist, I mentioned I sang your praises. I know you weren't online when I was singing your praises about just what a rich, beautiful, seamless, and seemingly effortless voice you have. Where where did that voice come from, and where did that artist come from?
The voice. So my mom is one of 16. My dad also has a ton of siblings. I don't know how many actually, because illegitimate. Anyhow, everyone on both sides of the family, pretty good singers. I would say I'm closer to the bottom of the talent pool in terms of singing, except my mother. She can't sing a lick, none, like not a note, can't match pitch, can't anything. Um, and so I mean, I grew up singing. I sang with my family. I still sing with my family. We're always singing. Singing in church, obviously, was a
Yeah.
huge part of my upbringing. So a lot of my tone is that stuff. Like obviously, I sound like this because I sound like this, but I sing like this because growing up in black church, you I mean, if your bass doesn't matter because they need you to sing this note, and so you're a tenor because that's what's on the page, and you don't have any idea like what notes you should and shouldn't be even attempting or how you're getting there. So that's how I honed my voice first, and then I joined a school chorus choir when I was in seventh grade, and there were no men in the seventh grade choir, so the choir teacher put me in the eighth grade choir because there were boys in
Mm.
that choir. And she, I mean, I won't say she taught me everything I know because obviously I've studied at length since then with various voice teachers in schools and college, etc. But she still my go to. I look to her a lot still for lessons. She's also one of these people that never stops learning about music. She's like, I remember when I taught you this. Now this is what I think instead, based on what I've been reading for the last 5 years, and this is what I'm trying now, and I can really feel a difference. That's sort of like connecting, your chest to your head voice and all these things. I'll still reach out to her if someone says to me, "Hey, I would love you to sing this aria. Can you do this?" And like at this point, yeah, I know whether I can or can't by listening to it, right? But I still reach out to her. I'm like, "Do you know this song? Do you think I can sing this?" And she's like, "When are these calls going to stop coming?" And not in a "I want you to stop calling me" sort of way, just in like a trust your instrument. You know the answer to this question. You don't need me to tell you that you can sing this song or
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So that's, I mean, and then of course you learn tips and tricks, and at the end of the day, you also just learn your own voice. You know what works for you. Some people can't have dairy or can't have alcohol. Like you learn and you hone and you pay attention, and you're like, well, I shouldn't have maybe had that because then it was harder for me to get through that song than it was before I had this. So in the future, I won't do that to myself before I have to sing a high B or whatever. And so that's just working on it a lot and not nearly enough. I think these people like sort of Tori Kelly's and Jessie J's, these sort of artists, I think they literally never stop singing.
Yeah.
The precision is just unreal, and I don't have it. And I work very hard. I don't sing nonstop. I mean, I do, but not to work. Just I sing because I'm humming whatever's playing on the radio or that sort of thing. But I think that they are like always working, and I've always wanted to be one of those artists. So I think that's how I got there.
Hey there, just checking in. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. And if you are, why not leave us a 5-star review and a comment or two wherever you're listening to this from? And don't forget to follow us on social media at TUFF SHIFT Podcast. That's TUFF Shift Podcast. Everywhere. Literally everywhere. And just a reminder, gratuities not included, but tips are always welcome. And you can find our virtual tip jar at tuffshiftpodcast.com. That's TUFF shiftpodcast.com. All right, back to the show. Isn't that beautiful? Is that not? Well, it's the rewards aren't many in this industry when there are rewarding moments like that, when where you're part of someone's story, you're part of someone's first meeting, you're part. When Jeremy and I, no, not when we first met, we had an experience out at a restaurant where we don't even know, this restaurant closed. We don't know where this waitress is, but it was such an important moment where she opened up to us and shared her story, and we opened up to her about our story. And it was just this magical moment that almost seemed divine and deeply spiritual. And it was just us sharing our stories as human beings and making that deep connection genuinely, not seeking validation from our server, not oversharing when the server's busy, but just that time when two people meet, or in this case three people meet, and just are on, there's a vibe, and that we open our hearts and we share. We still think about her today. We don't know where she is. I am convinced maybe this was like a touched by an angel moment where she was not really a waitress. She was just there for that beautiful human interaction, that's deeply spiritual and moving interaction that we had with her. And because after that, the restaurant closed. The restaurant closed literally the next week. And we're like, wow, we would have missed it. We would have missed it, and we would have missed her. So there, I know I talk a lot of shit on here, but there are a lot of beautiful things that can happen in restaurants. And I don't think of another better segue or another better person to go to about amazing human experiences and such warm-hearted experiences than with Richard Skipper. I actually just got off the phone with Richard before recording our montage episode because I wanted to give him a heads up, like, hey, just so you know, this is what I'm doing this week, and obviously I still don't know. I still don't know which of Richard's clips I want to use. He has a story about falling in love. He has a story about a wedding being booked on Mother's Day and surviving that. He has so many stories and so easy to talk to. I called him very quickly because I'm watching my voice because I have to perform today, and I knew I had to record this. But I gave him a quick call because I know he's someone who enjoys the phone. I don't, but I knew it's going to be quicker than email. And I love talking to Richard, so I want to hear his voice. So I give him a quick call and say, hey, Richard, quickly, I just wanted to let you know, boom, boom, boom. 45 minutes later. 45 minutes later, I literally had two things to ask him, and it just seemed like I was a guest on his show. We were just talking about everything. He recently made his cabaret convention debut in New York City, which is huge. It's in its 35th year. He should have been performing since the first one. That is neither here nor there. The important thing is that it happened, and he had that experience, long awaited, long overdue, which just happens. And we talked about that. And he said, when you reach out, when you're thinking about people in your show, are you thinking about who to exclude? And I said, no. I said, absolutely not. It's to a point. And this literally verbatim had this conversation. I said, when I'm looking for people I'm proactively looking, who's got shows coming up? Who are these people that I know have these stories? I am looking for the best and also the timing. So that way you're being on my show, for whatever little reach I may have, can promote what you got going on. And so when people reach out to me and say, hey, I have this going on, I would love to be a guest on your show, I almost feel embarrassed that I didn't think about them first. And he said, exactly. So it's not about not having been asked before. It's about when you're asked, being ready and showing up. And he did. And I know he filled Lincoln Center with love, with his beautiful, rich voice, with his heart and his soul. Like I said, I don't know what clip I'm going to share, but I do know that Richard has an encore performance coming up at the West Bank Cafe, the Laurie Beachman Theater downstairs, Friday, November 21st at 7 p.m. The show is directed by James Beeman, musical direction by Dan Pardo. Richard could read the phone book, and I would pay the cover fee and the 2-drink minimum. He shares his stories, and let me tell you, he has so many stories to share, from moving from South Carolina to New York, to meeting Carol Channing, to his life in cabaret, to his life working at Marie's Crisis. He has so many wonderful stories. He's interviewed so many amazing people, and I just could sing his praises. But what I want you to know is that you can experience him in person for yourself Friday, November 21st at 7 p.m. at the Laurie Beachman Theater at the West Bank Cafe. Get your tickets now. The show is actually selling quickly. So please reserve your tickets. You can go to wc.nyc.com or thebeachman.com and get your tickets now. Again, I don't know which of the many stories I'm going to share from Richard, but whatever it is, you are just going to see exactly what I'm talking about, how you could just listen to him forever. So, Richard, It's on you, my love. Um, Before we get away from restaurants and into, every amazing thing you've done since that off-Broadway show in 1990, I have just one more question for you in regards to working in restaurants and with the title of this show, Tough Shift. Is there a shift, a night, something that lives in infamy for you where you were overcoming a marathon of obstacles? The bar ran out of everything. There's no glassware. There's no ice. People are demanding. People are upset. There's no air conditioning. Is there some shift that sticks in your head to where it's not just that it was rough and felt like hell, but you overcame it like the champion host that you
Absolutely.
are?
But I will say this: one of those shifts uh, forced me out of the business. I couldn't. I walked home after one of those shifts, and I was in tears
Mm.
because it was such a rough day. There's a restaurant. It's now a catering, beautiful catering restaurant. A lot of events are now done there, called The View, and it's right on the Hudson River here in Rockland County. When it first opened, it was called the Moorings. And it was called the Moorings because, being on the river, they thought that people would be able to take their boats, come up, dock, and have a nice afternoon or an evening at this restaurant. The people that were running this business didn't know the first thing about the restaurant business. So everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong, including the fact that the river was not deep enough where the restaurant was located for people to be able to dock their boats and come there. So I was booked on Mother's Day. And for those of you who don't know, Mother's Day is, I think, the busiest day in the restaurant business.
100%.
And we were absolutely slammed. But not only were we slammed because it was Mother's Day, but the owners, not knowing what they were doing, booked 2 weddings the same day. And so we were running out of spoons, we were running out of coffee mugs, we were running out of everything. And people were nasty, people were rude, and I can understand because when someone's hungry, their sugar levels go kaflooey. And that's why, and waiters, waitresses, we know that they are not in a good place if they're waiting for their food. There was one particular waiter that day, and they sent out a notice from the kitchen that 86 the lobsters. And anyone who's in the business know that when you say 86 something, that means you're out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this huge table comes in, and this waiter happened to have that table. And when the gentleman at the end of the table asked the waiter what he recommended, the waiter said, and I quote, "We just got 86 lobsters in." So everyone at the table ordered lobsters. And the chef in the kitchen came out on the floor and started screaming at this waiter at the top of his lungs. And it was like a comedy of errors. And I got through my shift. I walked home and I said, I can never do this again. And I haven't waited a table since then. But there's a nice little club in Piermont where I live called the Turning Point. I had the good pleasure one night of waiting of the performer that night was Chris Christopherson.
Oh, wow.
And it couldn't have been nicer. I mean, there have been so many celebrities that I've waited on who were very, very nice. But that shift was the tough shift that really, I said, I can't do this anymore. And I just got out of it. And God bless to everyone who could have gone through that and said, just another bad day. But to me, that was the breaking point.
All right. That, again, whatever story that was, I know I would be laughing at it. I know I'll probably be gasping. I know my heart will be a flutter. Whatever story it was, I'm sure you enjoyed it. And I hope you do check out Richard, find him, richardskippercelebrates.com. That's how you can keep up with his ongoings. He's not on social media much anymore. I do believe he still has his handle at Richard Skipper Celebrates on Instagram. But keep on track with him. Go to his YouTube page. He does these Friday wrap-ups where it's a panel discussion with people in and around the industry and just talking about what's up in life, motivational stuff, making it through stuff, advice, all the people it's a thought exchange. So go to youtube.com. Do you need to know the address for YouTube? And make sure you follow Richard Skipper Celebrates and keep up with him, and also sign up for his newsletter. Reach out to him, richardskippercelebrates.com, and get on his newsletter. Now, this last person I want to share with you is our first guest. So I figured what better way to end the show with our very first guest. And if you are a newer listener, if you're a newer audience member, why not start at the very beginning? A very good place to start. My friend, Zak Edwards, who is a triple threat. I hate him for it. He's so talented. I hate him. Isn't that what Judy Garland said to Barbara Streisand when she was on her show? You're just so talented. I hate you. I hate you. And he's so easy to hate and love. He is a super sweetheart with a beautiful tenor voice. He is a hoofer. He taps. He can act. He made his Broadway debut in the Barry Manilow musical Harmony. And more recently, he moved to London. He checked things off his list. Oh no, there we are, lists again. He has accomplished so much with national tours, making it to Broadway, and then it's like that thing that Oprah always says, like when you make the dream happen, it becomes a reality. You got to plan for the next. What's the next dream? You got to reevaluate what you want, and so he took this opportunity to move himself to London, and you can follow him on Instagram at American in London. I think that's it. I'll double check it. It'll be in the show notes. It is American in London. Yeah, I'm right. Don't doubt yourself, Shawnee boy. And see his adventures of what an American living in London, an actor, is going through and trying a new market. He recently just finished filming a student film. He's trying his hand he did a workshop there. And, I'm not going to be surprised when I see that he's making his West End debut. And when he does, I will be promoting the shit out of it here and everywhere and singing his praises because he is just, he's such an adorable human being. I think that's just the best way to describe it. And I wanted to share this specific story because he actually had one of those magical moments. Magical? I don't know if it's that, but a very unique moment in where his performance life and his life in hospitality intertwined. And he was working as a cater waiter in an immersive theater experience. What was the name of that again? I forgot. But he'll be talking about it here. It was from the people who brought us Sleep No More. It was this immersive theater experience to where the cater waiters were actors and were part of the scene. And there was it was our very first spicy story on this, which I love spicy stories. If you don't know what spicy stories are, you're about to find out. But a spicy story in hospitality and on stage, and it's over a year ago that we had him on this show, and this story just still makes me laugh. So please enjoy a little bit of spice with Zak Edwards. I mentioned I was a singing waiter, and it was cool. There was a grand piano. There were no tracks. Not that singing the tracks is bad, but there was a grand piano. It was really nice, but it still was just, I sang. A customer said, "Oh, do you know All the Things You Are?" And I'm like, "Do I? That's my go-to song." And I'm singing this song on request, and I get right to the end, and I am floating that A flat, like just ever so, just right for the gods, right in the center of the pitch, pianissimo. And as I'm getting on that note and soaring and crescendoing it, he holds up his empty glass of Diet Coke and points to it. And I'm like, anybody else, it still would have been an asshole thing to do, but like, you requested this song, like, go to hell, go to hell. So it's not the same.
Yep.
But you had an experience of marriage, of your hospitality world with your creative world, and you cater waitered, but it was more than just like cater waiter. And it was whatever it was, you'll explain, but for an immersive theater experience in New York City.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
So I should say right away that like I was not performing. I was not, a part of the cast by any means.
Some of your coworkers would lead you to believe different.
Yes, they would, and maybe they shouldn't. Well, because
Um,
actually, I'll get back to that, but actually, really fast. It was always funny because like some of the servers would say like, "Well, I'm out there, I'm in front of the audience, like all that stuff. Like I can say that I performed at Queen of the Night." I'm like, "Yeah, but like the actual cast of Queen of the Night is circus performers and like top level modern dancers."
and
So,
you're
like,
a
if that's
bottom
on your
basement
resume, people are
dancer.
going to expect you to be a gymnast. So I was like, I am very much not putting this on my resume or my performance resume. No, but it was so the show was an immersive theater experience in the basement of the Paramount Hotel in this like crazy cool renovated space. That's like a big ballroom with lots of little side rooms where they took people away in little moments and stuff like that. It was a wild place to work. It was really fun, but the servers, we the really nice thing about that job is it was the same thing every night. We didn't take orders. We didn't do any of that stuff. The same food was delivered to the same places every night. It was all very regimented. But it was things like we served whole suckling pigs and carved them at the table. We served cages full of cooked lobsters. Like it was intended to be this very like over the top hedonistic kind of
Oh my
thing. It was wild.
I'm
And it was
upset
the
I
kind of
didn't
thing.
go. If someone carved
Oh,
suckling pig in front of me in a show, I would be like, "Take me now, Lord. I've seen everything I need to see in this world. I am in
oh,
love. That's amazing."
and it got wilder and wilder. Like the show itself, the kind of like the vibe that they were encouraging was very much about like this is a place of no judgment and you can kind of be free and there's a sense of sort of hedonism and stuff like that, which was a blast, and it made it a really fun place to work because like we could be really playful with guests and things like that, which was a blast. It also led to some very interesting things. There were definitely, I walked in on more than one example of guests having sex in bathrooms and things like that. Um,
That's
it was a pretty wild, it
crazy.
was a wild place to work.
Like with cast members or just each other?
Usually each other.
Okay.
Um,
I mean,
but there was like, I mean, it was an interesting place because there's also a real sense in the show of sort of mystery and not really knowing what you're getting yourself into and that kind of thing. So uh, the like small ways that was fun for the servers was we would the first chunk of the thing we would carry around appetizers just as people were wandering in, and people would say like, "Oh, what's this?" And we could say, "You should try it and find out."
oh, I love that.
And yeah, so it was a very like it was fun to not have to be the normal like, well, this is a croquette of
Exactly.
blah blah blah, like
And here are all the
you
allergens.
didn't
What
have
do I
to be
need
in
to
like
know?
waiter mode the whole time, which was fun.
That's so cool. So there was
And
an element of performance in it because you were maybe not performing, but you were part of the ambiance. Like you contributed to the fact that
yes.
these customers had to be like, we need to have sex right here, right now, next to the suckling pig.
Well, and there was a real sense of like we want you to be, like you said, part of the ambiance. We want you to be part of the vibe of the show. So
You got to wear
you
eyeliner,
know,
right?
I wore eyeliner. We wore everyone, both the cast and the staff were all intended to be like sort of androgynous and stuff like that. So that the male servers wore like white button downs and black ties, like a lot of servers do. But then our bottoms were these floor length black kilts that were kind of fabulous, actually. So yeah, it was a really cool. It was a fun place to work. It was also like a crazy place to work. They used the space also as event space, so they would rent it out for parties and things like that. But it was usually like super crazy, like there's stilt walkers and fire breathers and things like that while you're like serving a bottle of champagne.
Well, look at that. We did it. We did it. We got through our very first montage episode. Unfortunately, I have to take this bathrobe off and put my work clothes on because family coming in tomorrow when I'm recording this. Tomorrow is my birthday, so I get to perform on my birthday, which is a gift in of itself. But Jeremy's family is coming in, so we're gonna have a little birthday party post show at our house, and I gotta clean. Yeah, it's never ending. It is never ending for this starlet. The glamorous life, once the lights go off and the curtains come down, it's back to reality. So I'm going to get off of this podcast. It has been a wonderful episode and wonderful walk down memory lane with all of you. But before I go, how do we end every show? We end every show with a shout out. We know very well that bad reviews and bad news and complaints and what went wrong, like I said, with our managers letting us know what we failed at as opposed to what we did right. That's not a good way to live life. So that's why I like to go out of my way to make sure that I spread good news. And when I have a good experience at work, I let people know that need to know that. When I have a good experience when I'm out at a restaurant, I let people know, hey, your staff is amazing, because most often than not, they're just hearing where people have dropped the ball. So I want to make sure, like, hey, this is where they volleyed, set, spiked, whatever, served, kept the ball up. Why do I try to attempt sports references? So I want to give a shout out today to one very special person to this podcast. I always say that the best way to support your artist friends, the most budget friendly way, it is free. It's so budget friendly, it's free. The best way you can and easiest way you can support your artist friends, and really anybody creating something, small business owners in any way, is to like their stuff on social media, to share their stuff on social media, to comment on their things on social media with just an emoji. I don't like the thumbs up. I do not like the thumbs up emoji. But hearts, angels, stars, prayer hands, woo hands, the praise hands, all of the fire, comment, great job, love this, keep it going, proud of you. All of that runs up people's content and helps them reach a wider audience. So it is just, it's so easy to engage and support your artist friends or your small business friends, anybody trying to make something out there and taking advantage of the tool that is social media to get the word out there to a larger audience. And so today's shout out clearly has to go to Maddie Pagel at hysterical_Bertha on Instagram. Yes, we talk about him all the time on the show because he's always stirring the pot, the little shit stirrer, calling out things that he's hearing in time on Instagram. He is supporting the show by not just listening, but by running our content up, by liking, by sharing, by commenting, not once, but multiple times, threads as he's listening, and just reaching out in Messenger and letting me know, hey, love this episode. Hey, I heard you say this. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, blah, 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 blah. Showing up. He has showed up to people's performances in San Francisco that have been guests on this show. So when I say Large Marge sent ya, he's the one telling you that. So what better way to bring this podcast to life, to bring the mission of this podcast to life, than to behave like Maddie Pagel. And I appreciate him so much. And he is part of what keeps the carrot on the stick for me in doing this podcast, knowing that I at least have one person that is listening, that is supporting, that I'm having some small reach, some small impact on them. And so much so that they feel like reaching out, like they feel like saying something. And thank you. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we are only as good as our audience, and we feed off of what our audience feeds us back. We feed off your energy. We feed off your support. And so, Maddie, there you have it. This episode has been for you. Clearly, the world needs more people like you. Thank you so much for making our tough shifts a little easier. This has been another episode of Tough Shift. And just remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life. All right, everyone, you take care. Tough Shift was created and hosted by Sean Patrick Murtagh. It was recorded on Riverside and distributed with Buzzsprout. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and maybe a comment or two. And remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life.